I think this was all planned by the Democratic Party.
Do you believe the numbers and the news that's being reported by the mainstream news media?
You've been brainwashed.
You cannot escape God, not even with the mask or 6 feet.
There's not enough to make this a pandemic. This is a planned demic.
YouTube, all these different companies do not like what you're saying.
And if any of you are in the deep state, you're going down with it.
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic is scary, and people are hungry for answers. Social media is rife with speculation, ranging from the plausible to the ridiculous.
关于新冠病毒的阴谋论，您听过哪些？
You believe the virus was transmitted from animals to humans? How naive can you be?
The coronavirus is a biological weapon and comes from a laboratory, probably from China. The US might also be behind it.
You think billionaire Bill Gates is a philanthropist who wants to support medical research? Think again.
Bill Gates brought the coronavirus into the world to have all humans forcibly vaccinated with his own vaccine. While he's at it, he injects a chip as well to gain total control. He probably wants to wipe out the human race almost entirely.
You think secret societies are a thing of the past? Wrong.
Dark powers and elites are exploiting the crisis to establish a new world order. The financial system will collapse, your money is gone, civil rights are abolished.
I think Americans need to realize their freedoms are being taken away, and if they don't stand up for them right now, there won't be any freedom to stand up for.
Are you seriously looking forward to superfast internet with next generation 5G?
Then you probably don't know that it's 5G rays that activate the virus in your body, and that the disease is spread by cell phones.
或许你对这些说法嗤之以鼻，但真有人深信不疑。
There's your 5G pulse here.
5G mast on fire.
5G! No signal here. 0G now.
Recently, emergency services in the UK have had to deal with a spate of attacks on mobile phone masts, motivated by conspiracy theories linking coronavirus to 5G.
5G is a weapon.
You cannot make people wear a mask. It's not our laws at all. This is just made up by Bill Gates and them.
Before coronavirus, we feared technology would overtake us, undermine us, create a world where we can't tell what's real and what's fake.
Thousands of years ago, people thought epilepsy was a magical, divinely given disease. But around 400 BCE, the Greek physician Hippocrates, or one of his contemporaries, wrote that epilepsy has a natural cause, and its supposed divine origin is due to men's inexperience and to their wonder at its peculiar character. And 2,600 years later, we are still dealing with that kind of thinking.
The more you rely on social media for your news, the more likely you are to be prone to this dynamic where you're not only failing to identify fake news as fake, but the factual information as true.
Misinformation has been around forever, but the internet and social media have made it much harder to counter. Facebook has 1.73 billion daily active users. Twitter has 166 million.
网络的传播力有多么惊人呢？
Dr. Mikovits is naming names.
The former research scientist who features in it makes lots of claims, not backed up by evidence, including that wearing a mask is dangerous because it activates your own virus. She was discredited in 2011. After the journal Science retracted her paper on a supposed link between a virus and chronic fatigue syndrome.
She was arrested for a period of time, I think, for stealing lab equipment. She had a new book out and claimed that her paper was retracted and other things had happened to her that were bad in her career because of Anthony Fauci.
On May 4th, Plandemic was posted to Facebook, YouTube, and Vimeo. It spread unchecked, and in just over a week was shared, linked, viewed, and commented on more than 8 million times. 2 million on Facebook alone.
The advantage of saying false things is they don't have to be true, and so you can make them nice, easy, pat stories that are really comforting to believe versus this much more complicated story that isn't going to give you an easy answer.
Facts aren't as sexy as a conspiracy.
一项最新民调分析了这些假新闻到底骗了谁。
In Sarah Krepp's recent Cornell study, Democrats were consistently more likely to correctly identify a COVID-related headline as true or false than were independents or Republicans. But that doesn't mean Democrats are smarter than independents or Republicans. On average, Republicans and Democrats hold similar levels of science knowledge. But it could suggest that the worldviews of Republicans and independents are more closely aligned with this specific kind of misinformation, and as a result are more likely to accept it as true.
We don't need a mask. We all look ridiculous. We look like a bunch of sheep. It's a brainwashing. There's no reason to be scared. Absolutely not. It's a joke.
Not a pandemic anymore.
And right now, things are getting worse. In April, 47% of Republicans believed that the coronavirus had been made a bigger deal than it really is. By June, that had grown to 63%. Among Democrats, it went from 14 to 18%.
Accusations China manufactured the virus have led to racist insults and assaults. And Bill Gates, who 5 years ago warned the biggest potential killer the world faced is not war, but a pandemic, and who has spent billions on life-saving vaccines, is now public enemy number one to conspiracy theorists, who are infecting millions with misinformation that could be as dangerous as the virus itself. They could be convinced a coronavirus vaccine, if one is discovered, will be dangerous. Many may refuse it. There's evidence that's already starting. A poll in the U.S. found half of all Americans who name Fox News as their primary TV news source believe Bill Gates is plotting to use a COVID-19 vaccination campaign to implant microchips in billions of people to track their movements. 44% of voters who cast ballots for Donald Trump in 2016 believe it too, even though neither Fox nor Trump has promoted that theory.
对抗阴谋论，我们能做些什么？
It's hard to convince someone that they're wrong about something, so it's important to get accurate information out there in the first place. And don't completely give up on trying to convince your friends and family to rethink harmful false beliefs.
Interpersonal social context is a powerful one in which minds can be open. People's beliefs can be changed. We often give up on those notions, but I think we should, especially now. And in your social network, you can be a quite powerful voice.